everyone. Welcome to another edition of Chomp Chat. This is our chance to give you just some wonderful tips. John and I are going to have a conversation today. Today, we're going to talk about getting ready for spring planting. So I'd like to welcome John Faircloth, our commercial specialist. He's our farmer guru. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Holly.
It's kind of funny to be talking about spring because today, right now, it is 12 degrees for me here in Memphis. It's not spring, and I have snow
And
on the
I
ground.
and I'm in Florida, and it's a cold day in Florida too. It's about 55 right now, so that's cold for us.
Yep. So, that's with, Saturday it was 71 degrees. It was sunny. It was beautiful. And it starts getting me antsy. Ooh, let's start planting. Let's start planting.
Yes.
So it may be spring, for those of you in Arizona and the Southwest. Those of you up north, we know it's not. And those of us here in the South that are experiencing this Arctic blast again, it's not spring. So my first tip is don't get too excited and plant too early. I know, like I said, that 71 degrees. Oh, I would have gotten that tower up and going, and yeah, I would have lost everything the last few days with it being so cold. So you can check, and I'm going to put a blog up on our True Garden website. There's a place with blog posts where you can check the almanac, enter in your zip code, and it will tell you when you can expect your last frost dates. So that's really good to follow, especially as we talk about, in the ground planting, dirt beds and tower gardening. We've got a little more leeway, but we're going to talk about just getting started, ready for spring. So with our vertical growers, John, using tower garden or the farm stand by lettuce grow, those of us that are doing vertical gardening, it's time to get your tower garden if it's been way packed in your garage or if you've been lucky enough to grow through the winter. But it's time now to get ready for spring. So what do we need to do with our vertical towers to get them ready for a fresh spring planting?
Well, the first step I would take is make sure that everything is ready to go when you're ready to plant. And that means disassembling your tower and soaking it to get a good antibacterial cleaning so you can start at with a fresh start.
Oh, I lost John. Well, I guess I will just continue on without him until he comes back and joins us. I know he'll be popping back in. So, with the towers, like he said, we need to get them clean and we need to make sure that they are free of any pathogens. So, they can get really dirty. And I love food grade citric acid to soak my pots in. I fill the reservoir up, throw them in. If I'm growing indoors, spring planting is year round, but to clean indoors, I use my tub. But fill it up with water, add 2 cups of the food grade citric acid, and let your pot soak. Then it is so easy just to wipe everything off. It comes off, and you don't have to worry about every little speck on the inside because you're going to be using that tower. It's going to get dirty again. So once I get everything clean in that water, then I like to add a half a gallon of bleach. Now, some people, oh, bleach, oh, bleach. Bleach is natural and it's a great way to kill any bacteria, any pathogens, so that you don't get any root disease. So pour that bleach in there, like I said, a half gallon, let your pot soak for 20 minutes. Now it's time to rinse everything thoroughly. As long as you're rinsing that bleach off and getting all that citric acid off, rinse them down really good, let them air dry, and you'll be ready to go to rebuild. As you're rebuilding, we also need to check all the components. Did you clean your pump? Is your blue swivel hose cracked? So make sure everything is in good working order and clean, and then you're ready to go. A little tip I'd like to share is I bought a kiddie pool, just a plastic one at Walmart, and I use that to soak my tower in. Yeah, it's been a game changer. Just saying. So then also I want to talk about dirt beds because we've got a lot of dirt gardeners. Matter of fact, True Garden just went and helped plant over 7 acres of a bunch of pepper plants. and our seedlings go great in the ground. So we do dirt gardening. So if you've got garden beds or whatever, raised beds or just traditional dirt gardens, you want to make sure you clear the weeds and all dead leaves. I like a good garden rake where I can be raking up the soil. I told you John would be back. Hi, John.
So sorry, folks. My computer died.
All right,
Forgot to
I'm
put
going to
it.
go on with the beds, and then I'm going to go back to you in case I missed anything on cleaning the towers. I talked about citric acid and bleach, but with
Okay.
your beds, you want to make sure you get out those weeds, including the roots. And a garden rake works really well. Get the debris, the dead leaves, all that. And then adding some compost. Now, compost helps improve the soil quality and retains moisture. And we at True Garden grow our seedlings in coco coir. Well, sometimes that breaks down. So we save that. We don't waste anything at True Garden. And we have bags of loose coco coir that works as a great mulch additive. And then you need to make sure that your soil is fertilized and ready for planting. And one of the best natural fertilizers I've come across is worm castings. And it's an all natural fertilizer, but the organic worm castings provide a healthy bacteria to the soil. And we at True Garden are so excited. We have partnered with Arizona Worm Farm. They have a worm farm. We buy the castings and we carry it in our shop to get your beds ready. So, John, like I said, I talked about wiping down your tower using some citrus acid, checking the components, and using some bleach, and not to freak out that we're using bleach. And you might, because you're the scientist side of us, talk more about the bleach and why cleaning using that is so important.
Well, the thing about it is that you're not going to be ingesting this. This is going to be directly onto the tower. You're going to pour in bleach. You can do it several ways. Let's say you're ending a grow period and you're getting ready for spring, but what's in there has been in there for a few months, so your root systems are kind of large, and those plants are hard to tug out of the ports
Yes.
with big roots. So if you pour bleach, and you don't have to empty your tub, you can have whatever leftover nutrient is in there. You don't have to empty that out. If you fill your tub just to about halfway, so that tub is a 20-gallon tub. You can put like 10 gallons or fill it to the 10-gallon mark and add your bleach and then run it for a 24-hour period, constantly letting it trickle down the ports and down the plants. And one thing it does is it dissolves the plant roots or helps dissolve the plant roots. And then you can pull that plant out that's been in there for a while. Kale, for example, gets a massive root system. It's hard to pull out. And that'll dissipate some of the roots and it's easier to pull out. The other thing is, I say this because it's very important. If you get infested with an insect, and let's use aphids for example, and you clean your tower without dismantling it, and it looks nice and white again, nice and shiny and clean, but you all inside the cavity of the tower, there's little crevices and little areas that you can miss. And with bleach pouring through that, it's going to disinfect that tower and kill whatever's there that you've missed on just a simple cleaning. So I recommend doing it once a year, or if you've had an infestation of insects, and then just give it a good rinsing when you dump the bleach out and you rinse off your tower. I take the white part off of the green tub, lay it on its side, and hose everything down inside the ports, outside on the grow pots, everywhere, and then put it back on the tower, the green tub, and then let it run again, rinsing with clean fresh water inside there, running inside your pump, cleansing the inside of the pump where there may be aphids hiding as well, in the impeller, all of those things. And then I feel more confident about my next planting that it's going to be bug free.
And so you don't always take your tower apart. You clean it whole, don't you?
I do, because if I haven't, let's say you're growing inside, you're not subject to, a lot of the atmosphere particles and whatnot, and you also have not had a bug infestation, then just cleaning that with bleach and or when it's assembled, it's probably going to be good enough for you, and you should feel confident that that'll be okay for your next planting.
Okay. All right. So now, people are like, well, what do I plant in the spring? The first thing we say is plant what your family's going to eat.
Correct.
And it's, and if you eat a lot of lettuce, I mean, I know it's hard when you get on the True Garden website and there are 100 different plants there, and you want to maybe try it all. In one of our future Chomp Chats, we're going to talk about some of the more unusual plants that you may not know about, and we'll discuss that. But what does your family eat? Get that. If you want to experiment with a port or two, do that. But to take advantage to feed your family healthy, nutritious food, plant what you're going to eat. What do
Plant
you
what you're
think
going to
about
eat
some
and
planting?
multiple ports of that, so that, you're not doing one of this type of lettuce, one of this type of greenery, do multiple ports so that you can supply yourself.
Oh, I know Vic loves romaine. So I have 4 romaine because we eat so much of it.
Absolutely.
And like my chives, one little thing of chives does not satisfy us. I need 2 or 3 so that I'm
Yes.
constantly being able to chop on or cut the chives.
Yeah, excellent.
Now, one thing we talked about is checking your last frost date. And I am such a huge fan of almanac.com/gardening.
Mhm.
That talks about your last frost dates. It talks about your grow zones. But it's like grow zones can be kind of confusing. So my favorite thing on there is you put in your zip code.
Nice.
And now Almanac is talking about dirt growing, but gardening is gardening. But you
Mhm.
put in your zip code and it will tell you what plants should be planted in March or April.
Nice.
And it
Yes.
talks about, if you have to start your seedlings inside, that means your ground's not ready yet. But if you can start your seedlings inside, then go out in that tower. So, John, do you know some great cool weather crops for us to grow at this time of the year?
Yeah, I mean, lettuce is a great cool weather crop. It can take some pretty amazing temperatures if you're planting in the ground. But, if you do get below that freezing point after you planted, you're gonna want to protect it. You don't want to do all this detailed work and then just to let, one stint of 4 hour uh, freezing temperatures or under to ruin it all. So have something to protect your plants with if you're um, afraid of a freeze. And if you're getting below 55 degrees at night, but you're warming up during the day to like let's say 70 or 70 plus, you're going to continue that grow cycle. It's going to keep producing. So it's when you get down below 55 in the evening where things start to shut down or slow down. So you want to, gauge that. So if you're above that, then your grow temperatures are good.
And I
Cool weather
know,
plants, Holly, lettuces, most herbs are actually warm temperatures, with the exception of a few. But basil and lavender, even rosemary and thyme, all like the warmer temperatures.
I know
Um,
celery likes it cool or can
Celery
handle
likes it
cooler.
cool. So does spinach. Spinach is a little
Yes.
temperamental. You got to be careful about overwatering with that. So be sure if you're planting indoors, you're on the indoor setting. If you're planting outdoors, you're on the outdoor setting.
And then I know things like sugar snap peas, broccoli, cabbage, all those can actually handle a little frost if you do get a nice
Cabbage,
chips down.
squash, broccoli, broccolini, zucchini,
Cauliflower.
cauliflower, all of those that's the stuff you're going to want to plant now. Once winter subsides, plant that now because we're in the spring or the cooler temperatures and they thrive on during this period.
And then one of the things you need to make sure kale does good, pak choi, Swiss chard. So a lot of your leafy greens, and they're going to
Mhm.
thrive. Like spinach hates the heat. That is your first one that's going to shut down when it starts to get hot.
That's right.
But in the same turn, don't go planting your tomatoes and your squashes and stuff now. They don't like it cool at all. They are the warm weather.
Heat
And
lovers,
so you're
right,
not going to have success if I'm planting tomatoes right now.
right, right. Correct. I would wait. That's going to be a late summer. Do your cantaloupe, your watermelon, your um, um, you think plants like that like the heat tomatoes. Cucumbers, you have some versatility actually. Cucumbers can take heat and they can grow in the cooler weather. So, and that's if you're planting lettuce, put cucumbers in too because you're going to want the two together more than likely. So I would put your cucumbers on the bottom, and I just let mine cascade down the tower onto the ground and harvest off the ground.
Yeah, I actually last year put up two metal like trellises right on the
Oh
corner of
yeah,
my deck
beautiful,
and ran them that way. And they were
beautiful.
growing up and then they hang down so nicely. It's so much easier to find them.
Yes, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I like the idea of letting it run up, trail up a trellis or something because it is easier to harvest that way.
Yeah. So it's just take advantage of the spring weather, especially those of you that are in the hot climates that want to grow spinach. Take advantage of this now. And then one of the things you can do when it does start getting hot, you can put a shade cloth during the hottest part
Hmm.
of your day over your tower and or just hang something. Make sure, like for me, the hottest part of the day, my house shades my tower. So after
Yeah,
3 o'clock in the afternoon, my tower's shaded. It gets all that wonderful morning sun. So be thinking about where you're planting, what your sunlight's doing, what your temperature's like, and take advantage of this nice cool weather. Less bugs this time of the year.
that's right.
So the
Yes.
bugs come out as it gets warmer. We know that. And just get excited about that spring planting. Like I said, in your garden, in your tower, in your raised beds. Get that spring planting going and take advantage of that before the hot weather slows down those crops.
And another thing, Holly, on your tower, you're still in the months where full strength nutrient is advised. Once you get 85, 90 degrees, then you might want to start ticking back on the nutrients, not full strength. So full strength would be 20 milliliters per gallon of each A and the B. So, you're still good to do this. So when you get into April, May, then you can start maybe going to 15 milliliters per gallon, June and July and August down to 10. Because you can save nutrient. You don't need to use full strength because the sun is giving photosynthesis for the towers during the
Well, and
summer.
my water evaporates so quickly, but the mineral
Yeah.
concentrate is still there.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
one of the signs I know is that when it gets hot and your minerals are too concentrated, a lot of people think it's the heat that's causing their leaves to wilt, but too strong of nutrients will cause your leaves to wilt too.
It
That's why
will.
dialing back is a great idea.
It will. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So, so,
But
so watch the temperatures and adjust your nutrient accordingly.
but yeah, good tip. Remember to go that full strength. We talked about fertilizing the dirt beds, but yeah, make sure you're
Yep.
fertilizing your towers. Well, John, I'm ready for spring. Are you?
I'm ready. I'm ready. I actually so ready that I have my towers are up and running. I'm going to harvest soon, probably by the end of this week, and then I'm planning for spring. So I'm ready, very ready.
Good deal. Do you have any closing thoughts for our
Just,
tipsters?
just, this is a great, one of my favorite times of year because the summer months, even though you're going to do different varieties, it's just so hot. But right now is you can get so many different varieties and so many different things. But again, just keep in mind, like you said, Holly, grow what you're going to eat so you're not wasting, and also because you have enough. So if you like romaine lettuce, do multiple ports so that you have plenty to eat multiple times a week.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us for another Chomp Chat. We've had a wonderful time giving you some tips. We will continue to do this. Watch for our videos on YouTube, True Garden YouTube video, and we've got all sorts of helpful tips. John, have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Holly. Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you next time.